Geil, 15 Leute gucken schon. Musstest du selber Start Recording machen oder hat der das gehandelt? YouTube. YouTube macht selber Recording, gell?
Da musst du nichts machen, ne?
Okay, wie machen wir das mit dem... Also was hast du jetzt? Du musst mir schon sagen, was oder wie... Aber was macht das überhaupt?
Das ist ein Snippet für Gebäude laden,
Ja.
eins für Umgebung laden.
Okay, und welche Umgebung kann ich machen? Was soll ich machen?
Du kannst, ich habe hier eine Karte, da schicke ich dir jetzt einen Link.
Ja.
Und dann komm kurz rüber, dann zeige ich dir.
Guck mal rüber, ich bin hier schon mal.
Also, so sieht das aus. Wir müssen auch der Link nochmal. Das ist diese Karte. Dann gehe ich hier irgendwo hin.
Genau, ich muss mir vorher überlegen, wo ich hingehe. Wenn ich dein Haus um eine Brücke machen kann.
Den Kopierschluss,
Ja.
der guckt sich jetzt kurz an, wie es geht. Dann gehst du hier in den Input, lässt es da rein. Das wird automatisch aufteilen, 2 Koordinaten, das geht dann da rein. Und dann sollte der hier auch machen. Jetzt, warte, du kannst nicht mehr als 5000 Points aufs Mal.
Ja.
Aber du kannst die Größe verändern, die Tile Size.
Ja. Kannst du mir den Link schicken?
Was?
Das ist diese Map?
Ja.
Es ist Topolet, aber keine Gebäude. Oder?
Ich mache jetzt ein Comics Profile. Das eine tut Gebäude laden, das andere tut die Umgebung laden. Oder?
Keine Ahnung, ja. Ich weiß nicht, was ich für Gebäude laden soll. Also ich will ja irgendwo eine Hängebrücke machen.
Ja, was?
Eine Hängebrücke.
Ja. Das kannst du ja separat machen. Also du musst es mit den Gebäuden auch nicht zeigen. Brücke auf dein Gebäude drauf machen.
Nee. Also es geht jetzt los.
Du bist schon im normalen Production Deployment, oder?
Keine Ahnung. Ja, das weiß ich nicht.
Steht da Enterprise oder?
Da steht Raven. Und ich sehe Community. Also ich muss jetzt live gehen. Ich sehe Community Context Profiles.
Warte.
Zeig doch.
Ja, ich muss hier gucken, welche.
Hast du mir den Link geschickt zu dieser Map?
Ja. Aber es dauert noch einen Moment, bis ich das angelegt habe, das Profile.
Das ist wirklich so eine Scheiße. Hi everyone and welcome to our live stream. I hope you can hear me. Exciting to see already 30 people are tuned in. I will switch over to my presentation. So this is our, I don't know, 4th or 5th live stream already. So, okay, you guys can hear me, great. And I'm going to be running you through some best practices and tips and tricks. Please let me know in the chat if any issue arises. I hear that you can already hear me, that's great. And otherwise, I have some files prepared that I will show you guys. Some best practices, things that I've learned talking to our users, and just what we see sort of helps people get the most out of Raven. And we're excited to share with you guys. So I can see there's still more people coming in, which is great. So maybe we'll wait another couple, maybe another minute, and then I'll start running you guys through the things I got prepared. Also, we'll be monitoring the chat, and so if you have any questions, anything like that, please let us know in the chat and I can engage with you live. So I'll be right back. Okay, so we have some more people that joined us, and I will kick off by running you through a quick. I'm sorry, I'm just going to wait until the siren's over. Okay, so the first thing I want to show is a quick recording because it allows us to do more in the session. So I'm going to be running you through a lot of different demos, and the first one, to kick it off, will have a big file already that comes from just a couple prompts with Raven. So I basically said, Raven, let's make a multifamily residential building, 6 floors, 1 apartment per floor, L-shaped, some reasonable size, gable roof, balconies. And then Raven took that prompt and generated sort of a starting point for us, an L-shaped building. And from that, we'll sort of start off from there. So this is an example if you go from something like create a file from scratch. So of course, once again, architecture specific, which not all of our demos today will be. So if you're not from an architecture or structures background, we'll have some other demos for you as well. And you see from that one prompt, I got this great starting point, and then I said, okay, make it parametric, so I can adjust the sliders and things. Then while I was parameterizing it, had a couple issues, but fixed them as well, and then exposed the core parameters to me, and also created a quick preview. So just from those 2 interactions, I got a model which I can now switch over to. This is, here we are. Okay, I need to adjust something in my streaming, sorry. Here we go. So this is my model, and I just opened it again with a fresh Raven chat. So yep, we have our building model here with the balconies, and then two prompts of Raven, pretty good starting point. And now I want to add new things and sort of discuss stuff with Raven. So to to get nice layouts like this, which we all know that Raven doesn't initially make them, it's great to just have Raven make the geometry, and then you go back and you say, group everything and re-layout it completely, and you can get a pretty good layout like this, which has named groups and things like that. So this is my starting point for today. And then the first hack that I'm going to show you guys that is extremely useful and a lot of people don't know about it will be sketching over screenshots. So Raven's made this building and it has balconies all over the place. And now I will say, actually, I want to change sort of the balcony's look and structure. So I'm just going to click the camera icon, which creates a screen capture of my current viewport. And I can actually still adjust that viewport to get a screen capture that's maybe more what I was looking for. So I can zoom in like this, adjust my viewport, capture the screen again. Now I have a nice image of my building. And I will say, maybe get rid of these balconies here. I'm just going to sketch over the screen. And these balconies here, like that. And then that image is now part of the context. And I will say, add gaps in the balconies so they don't wrap all the way around. They should be in channels. 1 to 2 channels per side. And now I can immediately, sketching over the geometry is super important, because what we see happen a lot of the times is that people will be, they have a certain thing that they're trying to communicate with Raven, but they sort of struggle over the words. So speaking about geometry can be kind of hard, whereas sketching is usually a much better way to get your point across for something like this, or for things that include orientations and planes, because they can be confusing and it can be hard to talk about them. But using sketches to draw orientations, rotations, and things like this can be way more straightforward. And now I'll just let Raven think about it. It'll figure out how to cut out the balconies and only keep some parts of it. And what this also shows you, if you have a big file like this, of course, it's a lot of context, and Raven has to make very precise edits. So what it does is it actually looks around the file for a bit to find, to understand the logic. So this is a new instance of Raven, right? It doesn't know the file beforehand, and it will find just the right place to edit and interact with by sort of navigating through the script. So that's also really cool. I'm also keeping an eye on the chat if you have any questions. This video is going to be available on YouTube, actually, just like all the other live streams that we've done after we're done. So it's going to be a 1-hour live stream. I actually have a lot of stuff to run through, so I'll show you guys those. And then, later today it'll be available. Also, everybody who signed up will get an email to watch a recording. So I feel like Raven's making this a little bit more complicated than it needs to, but that's okay. We'll let it figure out how to cut the balconies into gaps. Now, what we've also noticed that it can be hard to know some of the hacks and sort of useful things in Grasshopper, like turning on and off the previews of components, organizing data trees and things like this, that if you know about them a little bit, you can help, or you can collaborate with Raven a lot better. So it really helps to know a little bit about Grasshopper if you want to work with Raven. And that's why we've sort of built a new mode for Raven that will let you learn about Grasshopper much more. So if Raven can get the balconies cut, then I'll show you guys that one. And otherwise, we can check out the parametric model here. And resize the windows. Okay, so I'm gonna start looking at the context profiles that we have. Which one of them is the one I just mentioned, which is Raven Learn. So if you're not that familiar with Grasshopper, but you want to become familiar with Grasshopper, you can now use the Raven Learn profile. You can see it's actually quite popular. A lot of people use it already. It's one of our most popular profiles. And it will teach you how to use Grasshopper, how to turn on and off previews and things like this. So I can see Raven is now starting to construct our channeled balconies, which I guess was a little bit more complex than I thought. And you can see now, for example, the points that are previewing. You need to know how to turn those on and off if you want to sort of effectively collaborate with Raven. Otherwise, you'll always be looking at all the previews of everything. And one of the features that was most requested, and that I can show you guys already now, is you can see that all the new components Raven is adding in my script, they're highlighted in green. So it's kind of like seeing changes in your code highlighted. So when you're working in a file like this, and Raven is now starting to make changes in it, it's of course important to know where those changes are happening and what Raven is suggesting. So these newly greenly highlighted components immediately show you, what Raven is suggesting, where it's happening in your logic, and if it aligns with what you're trying, like if you agree with that or not, that's a good idea. And you can see Raven keeps adding them, so we're not quite done yet. I see. It actually successfully created the new balconies, but they're pointing inwards. So we're almost there. That's great. So you can see there's the channels of the new balconies, and is omitting them where we don't need balconies. Actually, they're much better than the existing ones. That's great. Yeah, I see you like the nice green highlights. I'm glad you like them. So what we'll also add eventually is that when Raven removes nodes, those are left in red. So point of it is obviously just to help you and Raven collaborate, so you know exactly what Raven changed, what was added, and what was removed. Okay, I'm fairly happy with this. It seems like Raven is still going, but I'm just going to stop him right here. And then they will also show you that now, on top of the green highlights, you also get a summary here, which tells you Raven added 15 nodes, updated 4 of them, and didn't delete any nodes. So I can now accept or reject this change. And that's also something that will make it a lot easier for you to work with Raven, knowing that it didn't delete anything in your scene, knowing that it updated 4 and added 15. So if I now look at this and I'm like, okay, I think I know exactly where the changes happened, I accept them, and they're good for me, good with me. So I can accept those changes. Now, of course, there's still something broken, so I'll just say, this is another feature that you might not know about yet. Which node is creating the old wraparound balconies? And Raven obviously can search through the canvas, we already know that, but what it can also do is it can show you those nodes, right? So you can see now when I ask a follow-up question, the green highlights go away because I've now officially accepted those changes, so they are now normal components. They're no longer sort of suggestions. And now, I can see Raven highlighted them for me, but I want you, sorry for my typing, you to show me on the canvas. Oh. Okay, now I deleted it. No, that's not what I wanted. Zoom in for me on the canvas. So you can see when I go back to change a message, also important to know, it reverts your script back to that point, right? So the edit that Raven made is undone. And instead of that, I can update my prompt because Raven misunderstood it, right? So that's also just a little trick like that will make collaborating with Raven a lot easier if you know about them. So I'm just, doing super simple stuff with Raven here to show you all these little tricks. If he wants to. Okay, and also, you might already know this, but Raven talks about these numbers, right? And you can sometimes see the numbers. So here, for example, you can see this node has a text floating above it, 305, facade with holes. That's because Raven added a little tag to that node, like a semantic tag, like a little comment, what that node does. Some people like this, because it's an easier way for you to sort of understand what Raven is doing. Some people don't like it, but you can actually turn that off in your display if you change the view to show full names. That, for example, it goes away. So you can toggle that. I feel like Raven got lost with my request here. Should be a fairly simple thing. But basically what you can do is you can zoom into a certain section of the script to show it to you, which is super helpful. Here we go, now it did it. So you can see how it rearranged my script, right? Selected, my canvas selected the components, balcony extrusion, balcony surface. Here, all of these components, balcony color even, are related to the old wraparound balconies. So it zooms in your canvas, and selects those nodes. So that's perfect because what I wanted to do is delete them, right? So I will just delete them, and now the old balconies are gone. That's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. And of course, the new balconies are still folding the wrong way, which I can just add a screen capture and then say the new balconies are facing inwards. Flip them. And adding an image shows Raven, yeah, they actually are facing inwards, and it makes it super easy for Raven to flip it. So Raven can work in a big existing file, find its way, but also help you find your way by zooming into certain nodes, adding them to your selection. And in this way, it makes the collaboration much easier. And also, these little tags, you can also ask Raven to write them. So it doesn't necessarily write them for every node, only whenever Raven decides, it needs to add a little comment, which also helps Raven to get around. Okay, great. Raven fixed it. Balconies are now facing outwards. Awesome. And let them see, I get this update again, added one node, updated one node. And now omit some of them to get the channels. Yeah, my prompting is a little bit weird today. It's a hot day in Zurich. We have 32 degrees in our office. All right. The next thing I want to show you guys is actually quite cool. So Raven now works with coding nodes as well, so Python and C# nodes, which is super cool, super nice, especially because it allows you to do to call external APIs, which I think is really interesting. So I'm just going to start selecting some of the outputs here so we can bake them, because what I want to do next is create a new file. So you can see did another update here. I will bake them out. Okay. So now I have this geometry in Rhino. It looks like I only baked one out. Okay. I'm just going to quickly bring all of this into Rhino so I can, basically what I'm interested in doing is I want to show you how you can call external APIs right from within your Rhino and Grasshopper, and it's actually extremely powerful. So we're just taking this building into Rhino. Here we are. Of course, I can just add these channels that I want myself, like this. And now, because this is a nice Swiss development, adding some extra housing, I thought we should bring it into a proper scene. All right, you asked me to comment in the chat. Here we go. What I'm going to do now is, first of all, you can see up here Raven is asking if it wants me to switch over to the new file within, because I have more than one file open. And this is also a new feature that I want to highlight. You can have Raven work in the background in an existing file and just you yourself go to a new file, right? So as Raven is working in one Grasshopper file, I can switch back and forth, and Raven will ask me, do you want Raven to come switch? So in this case, I do want Raven to come switch over. I'm starting a new chat, and now I have an empty canvas again. And I will show you these profiles. So one of them, for example, is Raven Learn that I was mentioning earlier. And if I activate it, here at the bottom, you can now see Profile Raven Learn. And I will just say, how can I, for example, something we might want to do is take a facade element like this and panelize it. Panelize this element. And then I'm just going to add a screen capture. Sorry, it's not that good. Rearrange. I'm going to add a screen capture and ask Raven Learn. And Raven Learn is not going to do it for me, but instead it's going to help me to learn how to do that myself. And there you go. It returns really quickly and says, the general plan for how you do that is reference the basic panel. How? He's already telling me. Let's start with the first step. Your turn. Place a B-rep or geometry parameter on your canvas. And now I'm going to make a mistake, and I'm going to say, instead of B-rep, maybe a curve, like this. And then Raven, because it knows what's on my canvas, it can actually coach me, right? And it can teach me. And it's instructed not to do the work for me, but instead help me understand and get it right. So now it's my turn. Delete the curve parameter. Okay, geometry. Then it says right-click it, choose set one geometry, and click your panel in Rhino. So if I follow this, click my panel in Rhino, tack, now it's red. So I'm imagining if I'm like really a beginner user here, and I just notice my panel turning red, I can ask Raven and it will tell me what that means. So it's really the best way to learn Grasshopper now, because you have a teacher that is like has infinite patience and knows all about Rhino and Grasshopper and your specific canvas, right? Now for step 2, define the target surface. What kind of surface do you want to map this panel onto? Is it a flat wall? Okay, now he thinks that this is my wall. I want it corrugated. And so this way, step by step, Raven will help me to UV map, build out my panelization. And now what I was showing you earlier is if I can go back to my house model, Raven will just keep working, and it doesn't know that I switched the file. So I might go back here and in my house model decide actually I do want to bake out with the materials, and Raven can just keep working in the background, and then when I come back, here I can see, all right, it's my turn now, great. Now I'm going to turn off the Raven Learn and then just say, do it. And because Raven Learn is no longer active, Raven will now be back in the normal mode and actually, create the geometry for me. Super helpful, very popular also with onboarding people to Grasshopper. When it's sometimes it's simple things like referencing the geometry that can unlock so much if just somebody has the patience to instruct people to learn that. So there's a question about profiles versus custom instructions. So custom instructions are things that are relevant in every interaction that you have with Raven. It might be your preferred language, like speak German, or my project context is always Switzerland, for example, or anything like that. Maybe if you have a preference for how Raven should interact with you, please be polite but very brief. These kinds of things you can put here. Profiles are more for specific workflows or things that require Raven to know more about, have extra information. For example, Raven Learn. Raven needs to know how to best instruct someone to use Grasshopper, not just how to use it himself, but how to teach someone to think computationally. Other profiles, like Kangaroo, have a lot of specific information about plugins, like this plugin Kangaroo that allows you to do physics simulations, right? Which is really, really cool. But Raven doesn't need to always be aware of how to use Kangaroo. It's much better if you just activate the Kangaroo profile, kind of like a skill, and then it can solve Kangaroo problems for you. But then when you're asking about completely different problems, it doesn't constantly bring up something unrelated like Kangaroo. So that's how you can think of them. Okay, so now Raven, did this box morph. Okay, and now since I have my nice building here, I want to bring it into a nice context. And to do that, I'm also going to move to a new file, and I'll say I'm now going to use one of the profiles called Swiss Topo. I want to load in some real Swiss topographic data, please. So I'm asking Raven to help me load in topographic data. I haven't defined yet what location I'm trying to load. Instead, I'm just asking Raven to start the setup. And you can see this specific profile actually has this entire snippet, so loaded in it, right? So Raven can draw from a library of scripts. So in this case, this specific profile, it's about loading topographies of Switzerland, which the government has a service that you can load them from. And then here in this case, you can see there's a Python node that loads those that topographic data. So now I actually know. I need to ensure. Okay, I need to add a requirement. I think if I do this, how can I ensure the right library is installed? So I'm trying to ask Raven for help here because I'm missing a library in my Python environment, which is great. Here we go. That was the right. I typed it wrong. So Raven is telling me if you just add this in the script node, everything should be fine. So let's try it. And there we go. We just downloaded the correct library, and now the script's ready. All right. Next thing, I want to pick a location. So I know that there's this website that I'm going to use that allows me to pick a location anywhere in the world and then get the exact coordinates. So I'm just picking the coordinates, pasting the coordinates here. Okay, and now I want to run it. So let's load the data. And you can see this map is also linked here in this panel, which just lets you pick the coordinates. I guess it might already be loading the data. Opa. Okay. Okay. I'm just going to undo that. It looks like Raven just broke this snippet. Yeah. Okay. I'm just gonna do this again because Raven loaded this twice, so I'm gonna load it again, and then we'll have this request error again, but this time we know how to fix it. And I'm gonna make sure I get the right coordinates again. Nice. All right. Pasting in my coordinates. I think this was how you're supposed to ensure. I think this time it might already be present anyway. And now I'm gonna hide the geometry that I have. And there we see that my topographic data is already loaded. So that's the location that I've picked. Now I just need to load a little bit more. So I'm going to go in here, max out on the extent of it, but I think I have to downsize it, something like that. Okay. Where's my... An error. I think I might have corrupted my own environment. Nein, das hat nichts damit zu tun. Am I still getting something out? You have an error. Okay, well, basically you can ask Raven to load, help you load Swiss topographics data, and it's cool. Now that it didn't work, I'm just going to do something else because I also have, let's say we might be doing okay, I'm going to improvise, but if I want to do a garden here, landscape-wise, and this is also just a very simple demo, but people have been loving this from our user base. If you're not in architecture, but maybe landscape architecture, you know, you can say, you can create a surface. Whatever, okay. I'm gonna let Raven do it. At the surface, this rectangle marks my landscape area, and I want to scatter some trees over it. Now I'm going to use some Rhino blocks, so Rhino block instance that I have prepared, and I can just say set multiple block instances and select the objects on my block layer, which are some trees. Set multiple block instances Okay, perfect, that worked. You can turn them off again. And now I will turn off the context profile again and ask Raven to scatter the trees over it. And the blocks, so for those who are not familiar, Rhino blocks, you can use them for many different things where you are reusing the same geometry throughout your scene. And so in this case, I just have some trees there, and I'm going to ask Raven to scatter them around for us. And then, of course, because parametric, I can always go and expand my landscape area. Of course, now the trees will scatter through the building. Nice. So Raven's placing the trees onto my garden area, and it changes into a top view. Set view top. I can see actually they're scattering a little bit beyond the surface. So I can just show Raven that. Well, I can see it's a bit heavy on computation. Okay. Make sure they don't scatter beyond the rectangle. And then another thing that I want to do is say, I'm taking this line and I will draw a path. Now Raven will make sure that the trees don't go beyond my original rectangle. And actually the neat thing with blocks is I can now tell that the blocks are maybe a bit too large, but I can select the blocks, select objects, and then scale them to maybe half size. And now you can see all of the blocks, even the ones that are used in the grasshopper file, were scaled down, which is really nice. And Raven is now figuring out for me how to remove the blocks that I don't want from the scatter. And this is super nice because if you're working in landscape and you just need to place some trees, you can, with Raven, in a very short amount of time, you can configure a tool that lets you pick different kinds of tree species with appearing more or less often. And then now that I drew this line, I can say this curve marks a footpath, and the trees must keep 1 meter distance on either side of it. And you can see I'm preparing my next prompt to Raven. And I'll also turn off the preview of these that we don't need. Huh, okay. But now I don't see the scatter anymore. I'm not sure why. I might have broken the reference here. Okay. So the points are still there. And I'm still getting ready with my path. So we have all the data points. Okay. Okay, I actually don't care if they scatter beyond the rectangle. Let's just undo it. So we have our trees back, and I want to show you the, if I reference a curve, I can say keep 1 meter clearance on either side of the footpath curve. And Raven can update the scattering accordingly, which is really nice. There we go. See, now the footpath, the trees are moved and are keeping clear of the footpath. And if I adjust the footpath, you will see those trees also move to make space for it. I think that's really nice. And it's, you know, these are like little tools that you can build as a designer in like almost no time. Now the last thing, and I know like I try to bring a lot of demos to it. How does Raven interact with other Rhino plugins? Perfect. One more demo I want to show is just about that. So I'm going to make another one from scratch. And basically, let's imagine our house here is on the cliff, because we were unable to load the cliff earlier, but that was what it was supposed to be. I'm going to draw 2 points. Actually, I'm going to draw them in here. I'm going to say point, and this will be interacting with another plugin. So 1 point, and set 1 point. Another point here. It's at one point. I want to make a bridge that spans from one point to the other. So what I'm going to do is draw a very basic bridge that I'm imagining. Yeah, I think perspective is fine. Like this here. And I will say I can actually increase the Raven window so it's easier to draw. And then I'll take my pen and I will say we'll have a simple structure like this. Actually, no. Hanging bridge. So this, like this, and then you have the bridge sort of hang like that with a rope up here, and then you can hang from that rope. And then I'm going to label this as A, B, and C. Okay, I will say let's model a hanging bridge. A is the handrail rope, C is the suspenders, and B is the walkway. It's a pedestrian bridge, and I want to add this little image here that shows some detailing like the wooden planks. Use piped handrails and simple rectangles as on the walkway. And then I want to use Kangaroo, which is a physics simulation plugin, to simulate it, right? So you can, whatever you have installed on your computer, Raven will discover it and use it within its scripts. That is true for any plugin that works on a node basis. So if you open your settings, you can see all the plugins that Raven has discovered. Here are the ones that are on my system right now. And if you click on it, you can disable it, so then Raven doesn't use it. But usually Raven will use all sorts of plugins, just automatically woven into its scripts. And here's also where you can enable and disable Python and C# scripting. Because right now we're just doing normal native Grasshopper components. We don't need to enable C# scripting. But of course Raven could also build the entire bridge in one Python module if you want that. And you can ask it to do that. So plugins that might not be compatible with Raven are plugins that are not nodes. So if they're doing things externally from your normal script, there are some plugins like that, like sunglasses or something, then Raven can't do anything with them. But whatever is a node, Raven can just find and use. You're welcome, Vincent. So now Raven is going to hopefully take these 2 points and create this bridge for us. And I wanted to then simulate it with Kangaroo, but I'm realizing that maybe I'm a bit short on time, so we'll skip the Kangaroo demo for now. We have done it many other times, so if you look at our other live streams and videos, I've done tensile simulation structure simulations with Kangaroo, which is a great demo for what context profiles can do and help you with. And so now Raven, you can see it did a bunch of component searches, so it picked out all the right components to use, and then it usually takes a little bit longer when it's constructing the actual plan. So when it's actually writing the script after looking up all the components, and there we go. Now it finished, so it threw the first arc into our scene, and you see it's actually referenced by the points. So if we move the points, our hanging bridge will also move. And of course now all the components are new, so everything's green. There we go. Now that's a nice hanging bridge. Pretty neat. I'm just going to adjust my zoom here so I can show it to you guys. There we go. Awesome. That would be a nice way to arrive at your mountain lodge. That's perfect. And now I'll ask Raven to simulate it in Kangaroo, because why not? Now can you simulate it with Kangaroo? Just a simple hanging chain setup. You don't need to do anything too fancy. So here Raven has now, these are plugin components. This one is anyway, and then some of these goals are as well, and Raven is immediately adding them, setting up a very simple mesh length simulation for this. So we'll see it in a moment. Now the thing is, we need to update, also turn off the preview for most of this, because there will be the model before it was simulated and then after it was simulated. Yeah, I'm just going to let him finish. Trying to do a mesh simulation on this. I'm not sure that that's the best idea. Aha, there we go. See, if I run the simulation, you can see the hanging model is actually hanging. And so maybe now, if instead of going from an arc shape, we, because I like to also mess with Raven's definitions a little bit, so if I construct a line instead, so we have a straight line, there we go. Then we refresh, and you can see the hanging is now actually coming from a physics simulation. And we can adjust how strong the materials are and so on. But I actually have one more thing I wanted to show you up my sleeve, and it's completely different once again. So usually, you know, you take a little bit more time doing these things with Raven, but what I'm going to do is open up this model, select objects, exactly. So now that we have, we built a park, we built a mountain lodge, and we've built a hanging chain, bridge. The last thing is to get a nice shoe with a proper sole for trail running. So I'm going to reference this surface, because I know we have users from many different industries, so I want to cover something beyond architecture as well. So I'll select this one surface, and then, and this is, you know, one of the core things I wanted to show you guys today, sketching over it. Deactivate the Kangaroo profile again, and then I will, actually I want to start, not with this, sorry, but with one of my prepared images. And I just want to only model one module of this, okay? Can you model, and I'm going to reference a point here so that, you know, set one point. Only this one module of the sole at the referenced point. And what I want to do is then, once we have this one shape, we can use it to flow it all over our sneaker sole, and this way, you know, create a nice hiking, trail running shoe. And if you guys have any more questions, keep them coming. I know that we are now at time, so this is just a bonus demo. Vincent, what do you mean by a search check? Yeah, so if you have an error in your script, Raven can already find it, but it can look around a really big script to find out where the error comes from, right? So Raven can look for errors, and it can trace like up and down component chains. So you should, if you want to just throw a really complex big script at it and let it figure out what the error is. It's going to take a little while because it's going to be looking at every node individually and like tracing the data flow and things like this, but it can be super useful. Okay, why is there a button? So Raven built a shape. Shape looks okay. And there's a button to do what? Oh no, it's a swatch. It's not a button. Here is what your shape looks like. Good start, but can you bring it closer to the image I sent? Mostly I want the sides to open up more. Chevron log. Nice. It's getting better. That's pretty good. So I'm going to reference the surface again. Set one surface. And I will say, no, it actually doesn't look at the result on its own. Please create a dynamic hiking or trail running like profile on the surface I referenced using the new shape. And I'm going to add an image where Raven can see its own shape and the shoe. So Raven doesn't look at its own geometry output right now. So that's why it's useful if you add the images yourself, right? Because this way you can guide and show Raven exactly sort of what you wanted to see. So I'm just going to let Raven do this, and then I might want to sketch over the results also to sort of bring more of my own input into it. And there's another question, is it capable of rebuilding parts of the script that could be done in a more efficient or useful way? Yeah, actually it's pretty good at that. If you have a big complex script, you can let it find inefficiencies. If you want, I can also do another demo or something like that. So if I say recent files, I have a really large file here, so I'll let Raven work in the background. Meanwhile, I opened up this really big file. Here you can see It's like this huge tower, like a voxelized tower with lots of windows on it. And I will ask Raven to do something in this file in a second. But I'm going to go back to the file where Raven's working. So we can watch it complete the soul. So I think the results will be not much nicer even if it just rotated it. So I can come in and do that myself. I can ask Raven to rotate it. See, now actually it grouped and did like a nice layout of this new part. It doesn't work on multiple files at the same time, and also right now you have one Raven working. You can flip through different files and stuff, and if you wanted to come into a new file, you can see when you open a new file, you're asked if you want Raven to join. But Raven, there's only one Raven right now, for the time being anyway. I think I made a simple error. I assumed that this is the 0, 0, 0 point, but we're not at 0, 0, 0. Origin. Okay. I will go over to the other thing I promised you because I know it's getting late. So if I'll take it with me. You can always see which file Raven's working on because it has a little text right here, which is also very useful. So I now know that this is the file that I have open. So if I ask Raven something, it has this entire file in its context, and that's the voxelized tower, which is right here. This one, right? It's clunky. It's not very efficient. If I say I want to change the rotation of it, voxel size, floor height, glass scale, twist angle here. Let's increase it. Then you can see that it will compute for a while. Right? It's not an efficient script. So, perfect place to put Raven to the ask mode, because that means Raven won't change stuff yet, and I can just discuss things and plan things out before it starts to change things. Can you analyze and find inefficient or slow parts of this script? And so now Raven will go and find those, and then remember at the start I showed you how it can zoom into and select certain components for me. I can then use that for Raven to like show me what part of the script it's talking about. Then we can discuss a plan, why I think something would be more efficiently done a different way, and then I can flip it into the edit mode to actually do that edit after we've sort of agreed on it, right? Because I think what's really important to remember is demos are great to just like have Raven, like prompt the whole building, but if you're doing real project work as a designer or engineer, usually your prompts are underspecified, and you don't just want like a big result in one go, but you actually have to work very close with certain requirements, and to get those requirements across, it's much better if you can discuss with the agent a little bit before it goes into execution. So here you see the slowest bottleneck, room subdivisions. Show me, zoom my canvas into the room subdivisions issue. As a rule of thumb, fast is cheap, and it's what you can use on the free version. Smart is always better. Even though it's slower, it will be smarter at every tool call. So I recommend you use Smart if you can afford it. We are proud to have many free users. We are also a startup, so we are passing on a lot of usage to our free users, but it's limited. We can only hand out so much. We have thousands of users around the world using Raven, so the fast mode is mostly a way for us to let users use Raven without incurring too much cost on our side for running the models. So Smart is just a much better version of Raven, and if you can, then use the Smart mode. So Raven zoomed into the room subdivision. The surface split component here, this one. Yeah. We'll swap surface split for region intersection. Okay. Do just that one edit. Ignore the other error. It's also talking about some other error, but I don't care about that one. So now it's telling me it will swap out this one node and it will make it more efficient. And I actually misconnected it, but I feel like this might have been it. Okay, Raven, your quick fix didn't work, but you get what I mean. It can find, I can revert its wrong fix, obviously. There we go. And we can just try it again. Let's see if it gets it right this time. I'm not even sure what it's trying to do here. Voronoi curves. Why is it not using the same one? Why not just like this? This is, I think, what it was suggesting. And it's only 5 milliseconds now, so it is much faster. Yeah, so that's how you can use it in really big scripts. Okay, I have an issue here. Anyway, that was it for today. I know not everything worked well, but I hope all of the little things that I showed you with switching between documents, undoing, redoing, going back to change your prompt, using profiles. What else did we cover? Using external APIs to load in typography, using Raven to code in Python and C#, all of those things. I just wanted to run you through all these little demos. Even though it usually takes more time to get to a more mature Raven file, I wanted to, like scattering the trees, just like run you through all these different use cases, because now with Raven you can very quickly make your own design tools. You can, if you need a little bit of logic somewhere, you can just prompt your way to it, have that Grasshopper file, and you can share it with your organization, use it for years and years, and just build your own little library of design tools. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, of course, you can always reach out. We're very responsive on our email. I'll put mine up right here. For some reason, this because the filter is off. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. There you can see my email, Moritz@raven.build. And yeah, would be happy to hear from you guys. And otherwise, enjoy your summer. Like I said, we have 32 degrees Celsius in this building right now. It's been a long day, and I appreciate everybody who joined.